won't none! You don't want none!
What's going on, Tar Heel Nation? It is your favorite North Carolinian, Russ the Tar Heel. And in this huddle, we're going to talk about the number 1 seeded North Carolina Tar Heels taking on the 4th seeded Alabama Crimson Tide at the Sweet 16 inside the Crypto.com arena on March 28th in Los Angeles. And we're getting down to crunch time, baby. 2 down and 4 to go. So let's go ahead and dive headfirst into this thing. The North Carolina Tar Heels are 8-5 all time against Alabama and 2-1 against the Tide in the NCAA tournament. The last time these two programs linked up, however, the Alabama Crimson Tide eked out a 4 OT thriller out in Vegas during the 2022 campaign. Now, the Alabama Crimson Tide enter this game with a 23-11 overall record, and they're coming off of tournament wins against Charleston and Grand Canyon, boasting a top 10 offense, according to KenPom. North Carolina enters this game at 29-7 overall with tournament wins against Wagner and Michigan State. Now, the Heels boast a top 10 defense, according to KenPom. So, there is your stinking ball game. Also interesting, Alabama has lost 4 of 5 games against teams with a top 10 in defensive efficiency, whereas 6 of the Heels' losses have come when they give up 80 or more points. So something has got to give. Now, a little bit about the Tide. Alabama is led by head coach Nate Oates, who is in his 5th year as the head man. He's amassed a 115-53 record, which is good for a 685 win percentage. Nate has helped the Tide into their 3rd Sweet 16 appearance in 4 years and their 4th straight tourney appearance. The Crimson Tide's leading scorer is the 6'1", 185-pound senior guard, Mark Sears, who is averaging 21.5 points per game, 4.2 rebounds, and 4.2 assists. He's shooting 50.7% from the floor and 43.5% from beyond the arc. He played 38 minutes against GCU, and he scored 26 to go along with 12 boards. So the guy is a baller. That's going to be key number 1. Next, the Tide have 6'3", 190-pound senior guard Aaron Estrada, who's averaging 13.3 points per game, 5.4 rebounds, and 4.7 assists. He's shooting 45.2% from the field and 30.8% from beyond the arc. He had 8 and 10 against Grand Canyon. Then there's 6'11", 230-pound senior forward Grant Nelson, who's averaging 11.4 points per game, 5.4 rebounds, and 1.6 assists. He's shooting 48.5% from the field and 26.5% from 3. The Crimson Tide will send out 6'6", 190-pound sophomore guard Rylan Griffin, who's averaging 11 points per game, 3.4 rebounds, and 1.8 assists. He's shooting 44.9% from the field and 35.3% from 3. And last but not least, their senior guard Latrell Wrightsell Jr., who's averaging 9 points per game, 3 boards, and 1.4 assists. He's shooting 44.7% from the field and 39.3% from 3. The Tide will also send out forward Nick Pringle, forward Sam Walters, and forward Jaron Stevenson, who most of you will kind of recognize because, ironically enough, he's from Chapel Hill, North Carolina. So, 3-ball, big part of Alabama's game. They score a lot of points. They don't play very good defense. Now, let's take a look at the boys in blue. Well, actually, they'll be in white because they're going to be the home team, obviously, as the 1 seed. But you know what I mean. The Heels are led by 2024 ACC Coach of the Year, Hubert Davis, who is in his 3rd season in North Carolina, amassing a 78-30 record. Good for a 722 win percentage. Coach Davis has obviously appeared in 1 national title game, 1 Final Four, and this will be his 2nd Sweet 16 as the Tar Heel head man. The Heels' leading scorer is the 6', 180-pound senior All-American R.J. Davis, who's averaging 21.3 points per game, 3.6 rebounds, and 3.4 assists. He's shooting 43.6% from the floor and 42.4% from three. RJ had a quiet 20 against Sparty in the second round. Then there's 6'11", 240-pound senior forward Armando Bacot, who's averaging 14.4 points per game, 10.2 rebounds, and 1.6 assists. He's shooting 54.5% from the field and 78.1% from the free throw line. Mondo had 18 and 7 against Michigan State. Then there's 6'7", 235-pound junior forward Harrison Ingram, who's averaging 12.2 points per game, 8.8 rebounds, and 2.1 assists. He's shooting 43.1% from the field and 38.7% from three. Harry had 17 and 7 against MSU. Carolina will then send out 6'5", 195-pound senior guard Cormac Ryan, who's averaging 11.3 points per game, 2.8 rebounds, and 1.2 assists. He's shooting 37.8% from the field and 34.3% from three. Cormac dropped 14 against the Spartans. And last, but certainly not least, is the 6'1", 180-pound freshman point guard Elliot Cadeau, who is averaging 7.3 points per game, 2.2 rebounds, and 4.1 assists. He's shooting 42.1% from the floor, but only 16.7% from three. The Tar Heels will also utilize Seth Trimble, Jalen Withers, Jalen Washington, and Paxson Wojcik as their main contributors off of the bench. So now that we've looked at the tail of the tape, let's get into Russ's 3 keys to victory. Key number 1, be the alpha. While watching Alabama play Grand Canyon, there was a ton of chippiness going on, especially from the Alabama side. Nick Pringle was getting stinking technical fouls, smashing clipboards, and getting in everybody's stinking face. Hell, he was even shoving his own people off of him during a scuffle earlier in the ball game. It was craziness. Carolina needs to match that intensity, but we are the alphas of college basketball. And we're also above not having self-control and hurting our team like Bama did with all the stinking technical fouls and extracurricular activities. Carolina needs to be smart. They need to be fast. They need to be physical. They need to be Carolina, the alphas. Key number 2, Seth on Sears. Mark Sears is a hooper. And though Alabama has other capable scorers, it is imperative to slow this guy down because he is the oil that makes this engine run smooth. If you can get him off of his game and force others to shoulder his load, it'll drastically enhance your chances at beating the Tide. Sears can shoot the rock. Sears can get to the rack. I think this is a ball game where Seth Trimble needs to get extended minutes. We need to get him to do against Sears precisely what he did against Tyson Walker last week. I really like Seth Trimble trying to put the brakes on this guy. We'll see if that adjustment happens out of the gate, which I honestly doubt that it will, or later in the ball game after Sears starts cooking. And key number 3, dominate the interior, bro. The knock on Armando is that he doesn't play as well against guys that are his size or bigger, but he's still one of the best bigs in the country, and I think that he can have really good success against Nelson. I still love feeding that stinking ball down into the interior and not settling for contested perimeter shots when you have number 5 on the floor. And we've seen that it makes everyone better around him when he's aggressive. So, Mondo, Harry, Withers, Washington, they need to dominate the paint. And that's all part of asserting yourself as the alphas. So that will lead us into Russ's score prediction. The ESPN matchup predictor gives the North Carolina Tar Heels a 50.4% chance of beating the Alabama Crimson Tide, and that has slid to the right, surprisingly, about 3 percentage points over the past 2 days. It's a little surprising to me that it's so split down the middle, if you will. The real question in this matchup is, what Carolina defense do we see in this ball game? This game is more about what Carolina does, okay, as opposed to anything pertaining to Alabama. Will North Carolina assert itself as the dominant team on the interior? Will they play that Carolina defense that has gotten us so far this year? Or will Alabama's high-octane offense blow the doors off of this thing, which obviously Carolina can score with the best of them as well? I expect there to be a fairly pro-Carolina crowd in this one. I really don't know how many Alabama fans we should expect there. And that's always, taking into consideration how many Arizona fans might be there that don't want to play Carolina in the next round. But it's looking more and more like possibly the R.J. Davis, Caleb Love rematch. I also expect to see North Carolina be assertive early and letting Bama know that there will be no punking going on over here. The Heels get good interior play from Mondo, which opens up shots for the perimeter, and Seth and Cormac play really good defense on Sears, enabling the Heels to win by double digits. Give me the Heels, 85-74, advancing to the Elite Eight and setting up what we've all been dreading, a rematch with Caleb. So let me know what you think about my score prediction down in the comment section, Tar Heel Nation and Crimson Tide Nation, if you will. Am I onto something? Or am I sitting on the edge of the bench with my bifocals on, thumbing through college basketball for dummies? If you haven't already, take your time right now, baby. Stop what you're doing. Like, share, and subscribe to the channel. And consider becoming a Huddle Hooligans. Shout out to my Huddle Hooligans for helping me keep the stinking lights on, baby. Live stream tomorrow night, 9:40 on the dot. Getting off of work just in time. So make sure you come and hang out with your boy as we watch those Heels bash Bama. Love you, Tar Heel Nation, and we'll catch you on the next one, baby.